They had a 17-7 lead in the game in the second half.
I mean, first of all, they were not in control of the game. The Rams were in control of the game in the first half, and somehow the Niners got to halftime
with the lead.
Yeah.
That was pretty remarkable because it felt like the Niners were getting the terms dictated to them. They had several drops. Kupp had the one over the middle and was Van Jefferson deep. So the Niners going 10-7 at halftime was a big deal. But you have a second half lead of 10 points. That's a big deal, guy. I mean, that's this game. I mean, the final score was 23-20, but this was clearly going to be a low scoring game. If I told you
2017.
Excuse me, 20-17. So, I mean, the total of points were, I was like, 47 is 37. That's a low total.
Well, we talked about the other day. You said if you said 23 points, does that win the game?
Yeah. If I told you at the beginning of the week or the beginning of the day that I said, hey, guy, or anyone watching or listening to this, or if I told the Rams, I don't know, they have fans, people down there that wear Rams jerseys, that you are down 17-7 in the second half, I don't tell you like late in the fourth, whatever. I just say 17-7 in the second half. Would you have felt pretty fucking good? I mean,
felt amazing.
You can't ask for anything more in these games,
especially given how well the Niners can kill a lead or can play with a lead.
He got a little pass happy. Felt like they had a couple drives in the second half where it felt like I have to maybe just feels like this gut saying this where he threw it instead of just running it right away. Now it's hard. I mean, to me, we'll get into that one drive that was going to be pretty controversial, but I thought Elijah Mitchell, we said it all game long, that sitting there on the couch, he looks good. He looked faster today than he did last week in the freezing cold. Obviously, Debo at running back is always a threat. You know, it's not like when I think about the game, I guess Kupp had the 2 touchdowns. You know, from the eye test, Jimmy ended up with the pick, obviously, at the end of the game. I thought Stafford was pretty fucking good. I know what was his box score, but he was hitting guys all game long in the hands. And when he did miss, how many times were his misses just, it's going to go out of bounds, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, he had a few big misses in the second half. I thought, not big misses, but he had some misses. I didn't know. I'd have to go back and look. I felt like he was sharper in the first half than he was in the second half. But then he did make some great throws in the second half.
But I'm saying his misses, if you're missing outside the numbers, you know, in the out of bounds, who cares, right? Not killing you.
No. He was 31 of 45 for 337, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Garoppolo was 16 of 30, 232, 2 touchdowns and a pick.
His pick that was dropped was a bad throw by Matt Stafford. That was a play that I would say was Lions Matt Stafford. I didn't think we got Lions Matt Stafford today beside that play.
It wasn't even a 50-50 ball.
It was, what would you say the percentage? I don't care. The Jets, the Niners, any NFL team, what percentage of NFL players pick that ball?
I mean, I would say that's probably, I'm going to say you're talking about the Tart ball, I'd say is probably a 65-35 interception. I feel like, you know, the kind of turnaround center field, backpedal, not a guaranteed pick. You think it's too low, 65% of the time it gets picked? You think you go like 75?
Well, we were talking through, every guy on their couch thinks, oh my God, he is backpedaling. The ball's really high. The way it's probably harder than most chubby guys at 37 eating pizza today watching the game, you know, with 7 Miller Lights in, think it is. But NFL player, he's a good NFL player. I don't know. I mean, Cooper Kupp had a drop today. It happens. He played DB.
Skoranek had a drop today.
He also, I mean, did he kill Cannon on the one on that punt play?
Yeah.
No wonder they like that guy.
Yeah. Jalen Ramsey had a drop.
Jimmy hit him in the hands.
The second that play happens, it was a replay of the Cowboy game.
What was Jimmy's final numbers?
16 of 30, 232, 2 touchdowns and a pick.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it.
Look,
they had a 17-7 lead in the second half. Hell, guy, they had a 17-14 lead in the second half, and then even after Tart's play, they were winning 17-7. They were, tied. Like they were only down for the last 2 minutes of the game when he kicks a field goal. Now, granted, they were driving, they were in field goal range,
and down early.
But once they tied the game 7-7 and they take the lead, they were never down till the end of the game.
Yeah.
So for the majority of the game, sitting there watching it, they were not like, I would say the Rams, quote unquote, were on their heels, but they were from behind. Anytime you're just behind in these games, in these playoff games where Because when you're behind to me in a playoff game, unlike, and obviously the Niners played in a lot of big games because their record was kind of shitty and they had to battle back. And then even at the end, right, they had to win. You do always feel that like one mistake can be fucking crippling. 17-7. What if you fumble and they pick it up and go the other way and all of a sudden it's 24-7, the game's over, right? So you're always just kind of on eggshells. But I didn't think Stafford really played that way. I didn't even really think Jimmy did either. But the Niners, there's just a level of, Kyle could just never totally trust him. He just in his play, he just doesn't.
No.
Where McVay clearly is going to, the ship was going to go down throwing the ball with Matt Stafford.
Which they had an advantage doing.
Because he's a good player.
Well, he's a good player, and just their receivers against the Niners secondary is also a Rams advantage.
What was Kupp's final line? Beckham had 9 for 113.
Yeah, Kupp had 11 for 142, and Beckham had 9 for 113.
So they combined for 20 and how many yards? And a couple touchdowns?
155 yards.
How many?
Or 255 yards. 255 from Kupp and Beckham. I think that they feel good about that Beckham trade right now.
No, they just signed him as a free agent, remember?
Or, yeah, the Beckham edition.
20 for 255?
Yeah.
That's
and 2 touchdowns.
That's a lot, guy. That's an underrated just number today.
And they lost Higbee in the game. I thought you and I looked up at one point, and the Niners in the first half, what play was it? Oh, when they hit Ayuk for the 42-yarder, and then they eventually, Debo scores the 44-yard touchdown. But when they hit Ayuk for that 42-yard play on the Niners' third possession, that was their 11th play of the game. They never really caught up. The Rams, here's, I think, 2 numbers that really stand out. Third down conversion and just total plays. The Rams ran 76 offensive plays. The Niners ran 50.
Jesus Christ. 26 more plays?
26 more plays. The Rams were 11 of 18 on third down.
What the fuck's that? Like 80%?
61.
Bad at math.
Feels like 80. And, 61% is that's a top 3% in the NFL, right? If you were a 61% conversion team.
Well, wouldn't you say over a season you lead the league? 60% on third down? Yeah. That'd be incredible.
Yeah. The Niners were 3 of 9 on third down.
Not
33%. 3 of 9. And it wasn't because, you go, oh, well, maybe they're converting a bunch of second downs. Well, they ran 26 fewer plays. 26.
The Niners did get the fourth down stop where McVay blew it.
They did. I mean, look, I think it is this way. This is the way it just is.
They allowed 20 points total. Like, you can't ask for anything more.
No, that's why I feel like we do this a lot where I'm kind of killing their secondary, and then you go, well, they gave up 20 points.
20 points. 20 points.
If I'd said to you at the beginning of the week, 20 points in this game,
you would have gladly taken. I would have said, hey, if you told me the Rams, I know for a fact, Football Jesus just told me the Rams are going to score 20 points. You don't know what the Niners will score. And if you looked at me, how much do you want to gamble on this game? I would have said, let's put the $4,000 on the Niners money line.
Yeah.
Because the value to that, right, would have been incredible. They can't score 21 points. Can't score 24 points. We love the 23 number. And it was right there. And that gets back to playoff football,
right? Especially when you've got 17 like halfway through the third.
I think part of playoff football, which, in the NFC, you're just not scoring that many points. It's just so physical. It's so hard. I had so many people texting me, just random people that aren't even necessarily Niner fans, right? They're just like, God, this is a physical game. I think because you watch the other game, it's a little spread it out, throw it around, guys making plays. That game was, what did we talk about before we walked in? There's fucking blood on everyone's helmet. Every single person's helmet. Jimmy, blood everywhere. Stafford, blood. Aaron Donald, blood on his hat. Debo's blood. It's a blood game.
Body bag game.
Yeah. Whose body bag got taken out last?
Jimmy's? The Niners lost. So
is it a mafia movie where they go like this and they
toss them on the rocks?
Is John Lynch liking a tweet here?
It did cross my mind before the game, like as close as the last Rams-Niner game was. The Niners needed that game more than the Rams needed it. The Rams clearly, the crowd noise was a non-factor for them
today.
Yeah,
it just felt like not as crazy as the last one.
And they wanted that game. This game.
Oh, you're saying the crowd was a non-factor in Week 18?
No, I'm saying crowd was a non-factor in this game. Like the Niners having more fans at SoFi.
Didn't totally feel it.
They had multiple. The Niners they had that crazy play where the delay a game.
What's
ball snap?
What's our penalties today?
6 for 54 for the Niners, 2 for 10 for the Rams.
That's, I mean, 4 extra penalties is a pretty big deal,
especially
right?
the 15-yarder that came after the Odell Beckham
Jimmy Ward hit him
30-yard
in the
catch.
face, yeah.
Right. You had the Trent Williams false start, didn't kill you. That came after the big Ayuk play. You scored a touchdown on that drive. Were there any offensive line holding calls today? Didn't feel like it. Maybe there was 1 or 2, but yeah, I'm just saying the Rams were ready for the silent count. So
yeah, there was no shock today.
I mean, you had if you talk about swings of momentum, Tart drop, next play, Odell 30, penalty 45-yard play. That I'm not saying Tart dropped the ball, that's the game, because Ramsey also dropped a pick, and Kurasek dropped a touchdown.
Who?
Krzyzewski. Kryskowiak. Right. But yeah, that was a big swing. 2 delay. I mean, oh yeah. Question on the stream: how many uncalled delay game penalties for the Rams?
It looked like
2.
a lot,
at least 2. Now I tweeted this while the Niners.
If Ramsey catches that ball, though, it's a pick 6. That wasn't on the final drive, right? Or was it?
The roll right. No, that was
a drive before.
Yeah, drive before.
So it's like Jimmy. Yeah,
I tweeted this while the Niners had the ball, so this was not a Rams specific take. But how does the NFL not have a play call? What's the word I'm trying to use? Play clock. A buzzer on the play clock. It's crazy. Again, go check the timestamp on the tweet. That's not a reaction to the Rams. But they did have, it seemed like 2 delay games.
You think they should institute that?
Yeah, why not?
Don't hate it.
The whole like refs got to look down, then they got to look at the clock, then they look back down. If the ball's not snapped, then they throw the flag. It's like, is that how they work the end of the game? Clock hits 0, check the ball, end of the game, ball's out, let the play go.
One huge element in this game, if the Niners, when it felt like they had a decent chance to win, is that they lost to a team that did not have any timeouts going into the 4th quarter in the NFC Championship game. The guy did not have any fucking timeouts, and you lost. And that was clearly, everyone's making fun of McVay because that's a big deal.
2 bad challenges.
There's no doubt about it. I saw Aaron Nagler tweeted, like, that reminds me, I get, like, that freaked him out thinking about LaFleur, and he just blew the 1, and the 1 timeout cost the Packers. No timeouts, 2 blown challenges. And no, it just doesn't matter because he won. He's fucking drinking a cocktail right now.
Yeah. Well, I think these games are never 100%, not never, but 100% you did everything right, and the team that lost did everything wrong. I mean, the Niners made a ton of mistakes. I think what makes it probably
the 2
hard,
blown challenges, though, I mean,
well, that's what I'm saying. I think what makes this one hard for the Niners to take is that they didn't get beat. Credit to the Rams, like winning without your best shot is, but they didn't get beat by the Rams' best shot.
No. But I don't think the 49ers,
and the Niners wouldn't have beat them with their best. The Rams would be saying this game was.
I thought it was kind of like 2 B- games, right? And they were just kind of feeling each other out. They're also trying not to make mistakes. Clearly, the Niners, like in this game, there should be no point spread, right? These are just 2 even teams, and for whatever reason, the Niners have got on the other side. But like you watch today, they're just evenly matched. Like I that's how I feel watching them.
Yeah, my reaction to that game is like they've played that game a few times in the stretch of games. The Niners won 6 straight, and it could have gone the other way, right?
Well, remember 2 years ago, or no, it was the Super Bowl year. Jimmy hit those big passes against Jalen Ramsey, and he screamed at Taylor Rapp. That would have been the 2019 season. They could have lost that game.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm saying, like this game, they have the 6-0, but like 3 of them have been that game, and the Rams have just not come up on the side, like you said. And that was today, where I think it's really hard. When the guy blows 2 challenges in the second half of an NFC championship, we can watch football for the next 10 years and not see that. Blow 2 challenges in a playoff game.
Especially the second one, he was so confident, and then you saw the replay of it.
He was so cocky.
And it was clearly not a fumble.
And when I say cocky, I just meant like he felt like someone told him like this is a lock. So I thought like, God, there's no way he can be that confident without it's clearly. And then you see it's like Juszczyk's arms down. Like, what are you doing?
Especially on a play. It was 4th down. He was going to get the ball.
And I would imagine they're replaying it, so he's looking up, but it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
I think maybe part of the reason why McVay, the Niners and the Rams never play their best game against each other is partly like Kyle and Sean know what the other is going to do to some degree, right? Like McVay knew, and maybe Raheem knows Kyle really well too. They didn't necessarily know that when the Niners ran the Trent Williams motion play that they weren't going to run the same play they ran against the Packers, but they knew that Kyle would have a trick off of it, right? Which in this game was the handoff to Kyle Juszczyk. They knew that. Like,
could you go to the box score and
Let me put it up on the big screen here.
How many yards did they rush for?
Not
Not many. 50.
The Niners.
Yeah, that's a problem. They just do not win these big games where they're getting out rushed when they're not playing in some. I don't even know the stat in the game against the Packers. That game clearly, when you're going to play in a game like today, for the Niners to win this game, maybe they don't need 150 yards, but 50 total yards. That is not a setup for them. Now, like you said, the play differential was 50 to 76, so they weren't dictating the time of possession.
Well, it
just kind of got away from. That's
to me, the
weird
Rams,
about them winning. They weren't in control. They weren't dictating the terms despite them winning.
The Rams beat them. Now, the Rams play a similar game, right? But the Rams beat them at their game because the Rams had
Rams outrushed them.
But I just mean Rams 10-play drive, 18-play drive, 12-play drive, 7, 7, 9, 10. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4 double-digit play drives plus a 9-play drive.
Well, it gets back to
Niners had 1 10-play drive.
Well, it gets back to the 11 of what did you say? 11 to 18 on third down,
yeah.
And the Niners were 3 of 9. Like that's terrible. I mean, the amount of the Niners had several 3-and-outs. The Rams you're converting like that on third down. It's just a disaster. Or you're not converting on it, and they are. That's a fucking problem. That's a big problem. But not rushing the ball, to me, like 50 yards, you just look back when they're playing. I mean, I guess if they're playing a shittier team, they usually have the lead. That is just not a recipe. If I told you nothing else beside, hey, they run for 50 yards in this game, you'd have been like, that's a problem. Because you would assume they're down, coming back. Like, how many picks does Jimmy throw?
Well, I would have thought they lost the game by 14, 17 points if they only ran for 50 yards.
So that's where the Niners got, like, the Tart play is going to come up. They dropped some balls too.
Yeah.
They just did.
But
offensively and defensively.
But they played the Niners game better than the Niners did because their third down conversions, because I don't think they really – what did the Rams run the ball? Rush yards 70. I mean – but look at this. Deebo Samuel was 7 of 26 leading rusher. Elijah Mitchell, 11 for 20.
Not great.
11 for 20? While Jimmy's also basically a 50% passer? How are they in the game?
I think you could tip your hat to Cooper Kupp. You just know coming in, I would say 9 to 11, 100 to 130, a touchdown. Now he had 2. To me, Beckham getting 9 for over 100 yards is a pretty big deal because you're just going to go, well, he's going to get some explosive plays just because, it was clear the last couple weeks in the playoffs, Odell had to look good. It's like, God, he just looks faster. Looks like, and then now, like, that's a huge deal, them getting that production in this game.
Yeah.
Now, because they were one area you just thought the Niners had an advantage in week 18 was that, like, he wasn't Odell Beckham quite then. And the Niners had all these, explosive guys. The other thing with his production today, Higbee went out early. And Higbee's a guy that, listen, I like Tyler Higbee. That fucking guy's good. And you lose him early, which clearly a knee injury getting carried off. I looked at you. I'm like, that's a big deal. Well, not really when Odell Beckham's just going to kind of carry his load because you would have said Odell probably 4 or 5 catches, Higbee another 4 or 5 catches. He just took all Higbee's action. And same with the guy. They bring up the back.
Blanton played well.
How about the backup tight end?
Yeah, he had 5 for 57.
They ran a flea flicker screen.
I mean, that's by far Beckham's best game of the year. Best game since, do you have games that good on the Browns?
It doesn't feel like this year.
Feels like Odell just didn't have one like that in 20. In 19, did not have he had 161 back on week 2 of 2019 against the Jets. Was he on the Browns then?
Yeah.
Beginning in 19?
He was on the Browns. Because remember the Niners were thinking about trading for him going in the Super Bowl year?
I mean, one of the best games of his career.
No, if you go back to like the first 2 years Giants, he was a big boy.
I bet he's got some incredible numbers, which he does. 166, 149, 142, 131, 121.
But he didn't score any touchdowns. But still, you're right. 9 for 113. 113?
Yeah.
It's a good game. Yeah, really good game. Especially what he's been these last couple of years. That's fucking enormous. I would say coming into the game,
the NFC Championship game.
But if I would have told you, even if it wasn't Dalton, it had been Higbee, that between Odell Beckham and their tight end, they were going to get 14 catches for 160 yards. That's just a lot of production out of two guys.
Right. Knowing you're getting 11 for 142 out of Kupp.
Did Higbee have a catch in this game?
He had 2. Remember, Kupp had a wide ass open drop, so that could have been. He
made up.
I don't know.
Fast.
We got to see the L22 on that. I don't know if he was going to score a touchdown on that play. Looked like Jimmy Ward was kind of lurking, but he had a lot of room. I mean, that he would have been 12 for at least like 165 if he'd made that catch.
But again, we saw him week 18. Like, he's a dominant player. You know, I think you come in kind of like the Rams with Debo. Like, he's going to get his. Who else? And it was like, those else? And I know he's famous, but he has not been playing at that level. Like you said, when we just look at his prior production, Odell's best game in years. And then a guy you've never heard of go 5 for 60 or whatever. And he got the tight end screen, right? I mean, a tight end flea flicker screen. That plays, I've never seen it before. No, I don't think anyone has.
You see it on like the play bus, and then somehow you're able to check it down to somebody, but it looked like it was on purpose.
One area the Niners are a little susceptible, and he went back to the well. Remember when Sean McVay went like this when they ended up? Yeah, because everyone is so aggressive coming up with Chris Kasurik. Now it's you can't criticize that because that's been a point of difference for them, right? They just fucking get up the field, one gap. Washburn taught them. There's no two gapping. It's go. Well, if you can hit a quick screen, and Fred Warner pulled a Navarro Bowman, fucking made the tackle. But that was
forced the field goal.
I know he said this. You could argue that's a good call. That's hitting a lot of time. Because if Fred takes one step in, now you could argue, like, do they even throw it to Kupp enough?
It felt like a victory every time they ran the ball for the Niners.
Big time.
Which is the predominant difference between the two teams. Right.
Yes. Well, that's when the Niners played good teams. Every time they ran it, you thought, thank you. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal, because their linebackers all tackle. And this is something, we'll have a long time to talk about this, but it gets back to you just never know. You're there, you have a lead. Like, same thing with Andy Reid. Like, you're at home, you had a lead. It's easy to be like, well, we got Mahomes, we're going to be here for a while. But you just, in the moment, you got to take advantage of it. Like, ultimately, McVay is going back to a second Super Bowl. He is going back to a second Super Bowl, and Kyle's not. Now, unlike Andy, Andy does have a somewhat of a finite amount of time, right? He's 62. Kyle's 20 years till he's even Andy's age. But, you were in position against a team that – the other thing is, think about the matchup. They got the matchup of a team that they had beat, that they know so well. They were winning the game, and you just lose. Regardless how it happened, like some of the individual plays, if you're just sitting there with your Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, it's like, we could have won this fucking game. We could be going to the Super Bowl. We lost an NFC Championship game. It's why that famous game against the Niners, something about these championship game with two teams from the NFC West, these games are pretty epic. But you just think, we were right there.
Yeah.
It's one thing, you've seen some of these historic games where you lose like 30 points in the NFC Championship. It's like, we got our fucking ass kicked. It's like, you're going to think about these moments. Like, I could have called a different play on 2nd and 5. Every play matters.
But say the Niners drive the field at the end of that game and score a game-winning touchdown. I think the Rams would be talking the same way. Like, we ran 26 more plays than them. We missed a field goal. We dropped a pick 6.
But that's what's happened.
We dropped another touchdown.
But that is exactly what happens when you lose the tight game. When you win, you don't even
totally. Yeah.
The victors write the history books, right? Like, they don't even give a shit. Like, oh, I fucked up some challenges. Like, whatever. You think Stan Kroenke's like, how about those challenges right now? Or do you think he's like, you want more? He's hosting the Super Bowl, and his team got it. Those challenges are irrelevant.
But my point, though, was more directed to your comment about the NFC Championship games between NFC teams. Like, I think this is part of it. Is you are not going to play perfect games in these games for the most part.
They had 5 turnovers, right, in the catch game, or was it 6?
I think it might have been 6.
Well, for those of us that were born after the game,
at least 5.
You know this guy? For those of us born after the game, I have never heard that till recently.
Well, I didn't know that till I watched the Montana doc on Peacock.
I just feel like maybe it's come up more, that play. Maybe Joe, like you said, maybe Joe's more now doing this documentary. No one knows. You know why? No one gave a shit. Only one thing mattered in that game was that play. Now, this game, there wasn't one individual play that mattered, right? It wasn't like 30 seconds left, something happened, that was the play of the game. But you'll just go back and think about, like, God damn, had a fucking chance to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. It's really hard to get. Remember how hard last week was? It is just so difficult to get to this spot. Even we all think the retirements and Rodgers probably going to get traded, and Tom Brady, who just is adamant that he's not retiring, even though, did you turn on TV today? Like, ESPN is not treating it like he's not retiring.
No, I think they said or wrote, like, we trust our sources, basically.
Yeah,
Which, I mean, it was Schefter and Darlington.
Yeah. Who broke the Tampa Bay story.
Now, Condi Rice to the Browns didn't happen.
He said they were contemplating something outside the box, I thought.
He doesn't usually get. Remember, he got Andrew Luck, right? That was the other one. Andrew Luck mid-game. Wasn't that mid-game?
I'll be shocked if Tom comes back.
Yeah. Unless Kyle? Cabo? I'm already there.
I wouldn't mind that story in about 2 weeks.
2 weeks. I could use that one on Wednesday.